Hello, everybody. I have a puzzled face on because Backlash left me with more questions than answers. Oh my goodness. So, hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition here of WrestleWatch, your WWE PLE review team here at the BC WrestlePod YouTube, Twitchdom Conglomeration Syndicate podcasting, also going international apparently after this morning. Look, I am not one to mince words here. I try to be very direct, but I woke up with the best way to start the morning. We are making headways because we've done something right. And obviously, some people like us, if certain wrestling promotions start following us back. Shout out to you, Progress. Love you. So we doing the things. They're doing the things. And I wish WWE would also do the things that we need to do. So I'm bearing the lead here, but before I get into, my introduction spiel of Backlash, and then we can all talk about it, I'm joined by three lovely gentlemen this evening. At least I consider them lovely. First and foremost, our ginger-bearded man over here. Well, one of the two gingerbread.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, you can't use that to narrow it down anymore.
The ginger man who is also part Mexican is invited to the quince. Professor's in the house. We've already established this.
Thank you. I mean, Jesse can come to the quince. That's fine.
Everybody could come to the quince.
If we're doing this long enough to have a quince for BC WrestlePod, that would be kind of amazing.
Oh my God, can we?
If we can make it 15 years?
Wait. Who's gonna do the dance? I'm gonna wear the dress. I don't get many excuses to wear my quinceañera dress, so please don't take that away from me.
Okay, so Jesse's gonna wear the quince dress. He's going to look and feel bonita. And can I be the drunk uncle?
I
Sure.
feel and look bonita always.
Yes, we'd love to see that. But of course, I am also joined by the second bald man this evening in Kilt. Hi, Kilt.
I like how you called me the secondary at first and had to backpedal that so quickly.
Yes, because I realized it should have been second, not secondary. You are the second bald man in this group tonight. And then, of course, our third bald man, who I love dearly as well, Mr. Jesse, who is also known as Pack Mac and Cheese tonight.
Mac and Cheese. He was wrestling the other night, right?
Oh, that was actually a relatively good show for Pat.
I'm mad at how much I actually liked it, but then again, when he fought Adam Cole and Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era in NXT, it was actually pretty good. But
we'll get there. Let's keep it moving.
Yes. So we are here to review WWE Backlash. Of course, if you like what you see on the screen, and even if you don't, that is okay. You can find all the other stuff we got going on YouTube and Twitch. And if you can't find the time to commit to a live review or an edited review the following day, you could get the bits and pieces from our social medias where we pretty much have out of context clips, report cards, our thoughts on the weekly show, where multiple people this week have told me they either agree with me or I need to burn in hell, but that is okay.
I burn in hell to you? Really?
Dang. I'm in a desert.
You live in California.
Exactly. I'm already in.
So we're all relatively in hell. So
yeah,
that is true. But hey, friend to the channel, friend of the podcast, Nick, is here to invade the live stream. Please invade it. We love dearly.
I want to hear Nick's opinions on some of this stuff.
I will step away if Nick comes in.
I mean, listen, I would love to have Nick in here, but Kilt, your opinions matter, and you are part of my regular WWE PLE review crew, so you are here tonight.
Wait. Do we have a Mikey in the Bank contract? Oh my God, does it have a briefcase?
I mean, I am going to be in Los Angeles, so instead of the briefcase, if people want to fight over me, I'm cool with it.
I thought you were afraid of heights. How are you going to suspend from the cable for that long?
We'll make it work. It's weird.
Okay.
I have a feeling Mike is okay being chained up, but carry on.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's a whole nother podcast. Anywho, so tonight we are here to review WWE Backlash, which is the first time in the last 2 years that Backlash is not an international pay-per-view, which, already had me feeling boo. I like that. I wanted Backlash to continue to be international because the international fans are great. But this Backlash takes place in St. Louis, which, of course, if it wasn't obvious from this picture right here, the main focus or the main person that is being used to be advertised this event is, of course, the hometown boy from St. Louis himself, Mr. Randy Orton. We're going to get into him in a little bit. But there's going to be lots of ups and downs for this pay-per-view. So I feel that because certain people have already made opinions known on the internet, I'm just going to put this up. It's been a while since we had to put this baby up.
Oh, this guy. I haven't seen this guy in a while.
Adolfo
I see it every time I come on. I'm starting to feel a little targeted.
No, it's not you, Jesse. The only reason this got brought back is because Adolfo said some out of pocket and stuff in the previous review last week, so I had to bring it back just because of him.
No.
I'm just kidding. I love you,
Oh,
Adolfo.
no.
I'm gonna see you later tonight.
We
But-
brought that back recently for something we had on. Anyway, let's keep going.
Alrighty. So let's just jump into everything. We're gonna kick things off with what opened Backlash, which was this amazing car crash of a match, which I love. This was the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE United States Championship, in which we have all gas, no brakes, Yaramin Jacob Fatu taking on Mr. L.A. Knight, versus the bisexual Undertaker, Damian Priest, and of course, still bored at work, Drew McIntyre. I don't care what no one says. I enjoyed this match. This is a car crash. This is exactly what I expected from these four.
Yeah. Are we just going to dive in, or do you want to call us one by one? Because I'll just start talking shit.
So just start going, and then we will get to because I only have two other points that happened during this match in terms of things, which is the scary spot with the tables, and then who ended up popping up towards the end of the match. But Professor, you can start us off first.
I thought this was a lot of fun. I actually watched I wasn't watching while driving. I had this playing through the speakers as I was driving home to catch it. So I'm hearing the commentary of it like it's radio, like, what in the hell? And then paused it and came in the house when I got here. This was brutal. This was fun. I know folks are sort of ragging on it as a car crash and oh my God, look at all this other stuff. This was just action figures doing crazy action figure things. And I was all here for it. I loved they found the one platform in the whole arena to go do a chokeslam spot on, which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was great. They work. Fatu just works really snug, but never unsafe. Like it's always like, oh man, he's hitting you real hard. The stare down of Fatu and McIntyre, I thought I could have watched that for days. Just the tension and that was beautiful. Actually, I think that LA Knight actually came off looking a little weak and confused by the end. A little disjointed, not as sharp as he could have. Not that he's like a weaker character, but sort of like, he kind of got played a fool here, which is a shame. Also leads me to what are we doing with Damian Priest? Are we just going to go Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre forever? The table spot, which we'll talk about, looked like it hurt a lot. But Drew McIntyre doing the core exercise to throw Fatu off the ropes, like there's some really fun choices and things in here. I thought this was great. I think this was much stronger than the main event or the thing that came before the main event. Like, this was super fun. It did feel a little bit like I could have watched this on Raw. It lacked a little bit of the prestige you would want from a PLE, but I didn't hate this by any means. I thought this was fun.
I will say, I feel like a lot of Backlash, I felt like I could have watched it on Raw. So I wouldn't hold it just to this match. But I really like this match. This is probably, I think, because it's been a few days. I'm trying to think back, and I think this may have been my favorite match out of the 5 that were on the card. It was fun. There was a lot of high spots. We had, I don't know if they've decided on his name for Jeff Cobb, his introduction, which is very exciting. And Professor, the way you feel about LA Knight coming out of this match, I kind of felt that way about Priest. And I really hope they don't revisit this feud with him and Drew because it was good. But we're tired of it. Let's do something different with them, please. Aside from that, though, I like this match. This is probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I have to agree. Kilt, any thoughts of the overall match before we get into the two talking points?
I think I did call it when I said there was going to be a bloodline situation, or at least interference, because I knew that was going to happen. That just continues that contingent storyline between Solo and Jacob. It's cool that they brought in Jacob Cobb. That's okay, cool. We just got rid of 16 people. Let's bring in one other random person. It feels a little contradictory.
I mean, that's very, very fair. Alrighty.
I got one more point.
I know.
And it's it's kind of a funny moment when Drew and Damien are out in the crowd fighting, and Damien just grabs a camera and says, "Still bored at work, huh?" And just slams him into a box.
It was great.
It was a very good line. It was a good line.
It is. Yes, Jesse. Go ahead while I move stuff around.
I just want to counter Kilt's point about we just lost people and bringing someone else in. Did the background just change, or am I having a stroke?
Both.
No, we're good. No, I think that in sake of quality, Jeff Cobb is better than the Tongans. And I think it's a better fit. And because I've got to add some humor in here and some levity. Solo needs to get a refund from his barber, whoever did his shape off. It was so bad. My wife thought it was a wig and a bad.
I love it. Alrighty. So before we talk about the 2 talking points that I want to discuss in depth about this match, first let me bring him on. He is friend to the podcast, a friend of ours. Love him to death, love him and his wife to death. Of course, from the Nick Happy Hour podcast, Mr. Nicholas.
Hey, what's up, man?
You were talking about people, random guys derailing things. So I was like, all right, let me just come in and derail it.
Perfect
Of course.
segue.
There's 5 beautiful bald men on this podcast right now, and I'm very, very happy. Now, Mikey just needs to grow a beard.
Yeah, good luck on that one. Alrighty. I probably could. So, Nick, we do have 2 talking points we want to discuss, but I do want to get your first thoughts on this match overall for the Fatal 4-Way. What did you think?
This might have been the match of the night. Honestly, just like the fluidity of it. And Nikki and I used different terms. She used liquidity or liquidity, whatever. It's a tough word. After we've been drinking for the happy hour for the last 2 hours, it's hard to pronounce. But regardless, the Drew McIntyre, and it may be not as miraculous as I make it out to be, but the belly to belly, it's belly to belly, whatever it is, but into the swanton splash, whatever you call it, senton splash. But that spot, because of the fact that Drew McIntyre you don't know how far he's going to throw you. His athletic ability for Jacob Fatu, that moment to me is a huge moment in this whole match. We do our whole Mike, it's our big Nick energy, the big moments of the night, and sometimes it's a move that you don't see, the vertebreaker or things like that in WWE. But this to me, it required so much athletic ability, and this match had so many moments of back to back. Fluidity, which a lot, and we've seen it a lot more lately in WWE, right? The last year and change with WWE, but with Triple H, but even the spots where I forget it was the Claymore and someone got a finisher after finisher, but you fell down into a pin and we're this is the end. This is how Jacob's going to lose, and all those false finishes that this match set up. I had a tough time distinguishing this as match of the night between this and if you're talking just straight on 1-to-1, Dom and Penta, which is obviously you're gonna all talk about real soon, but it's hard. This is probably match of the night for me in terms of in ring.
I have to agree with you, Nick.
I concur too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in ring wise, I think this was probably the strongest of the 5 matches. But I also, when we get to Dominic and Penta, we'll also talk about, I actually enjoyed that match too. But there are 2 things that I do want to discuss. First and foremost, of course, because I had to make sure I was watching things correctly. But of course, we got the update. Now, this still frame is an epic shot of Damian Priest hitting a very high south of heaven to Drew McIntyre through some tables. However, it has been noted that when the landing happened, Drew's head missed the table and went kerplunk onto the bottom of the floor. So hopefully this does not mean concussion protocol. WWE medical staff were evaluating McIntyre for the remainder of the match, and they've been continuing to monitor him when they took him to the back. No update quite yet as to what the current status of Drew McIntyre is. I will say, though, speedy recovery. Hopefully everything's okay. And it would kind of suck for Drew to have to sit out for a little bit after pretty much carrying his 2024 on his own. The work rate horse, the work person here of 2024, that would very suck. But also, it has been reported that spot also may have caused some damage to Damian too, which would also doubly suck.
Yeah, it looks like at the very last minute, Damian's putting his arm down. I'm just watching the replay to catch himself a little bit because he's off just a tad. And I can't tell if McIntyre's head, I don't know, it doesn't look like it hits the ground, but the whiplash there looked terrifying because he hits the table and his head comes right back up and down. So he's not able to brace himself going down the second time. They're checking him for all neck and other shit. He's not moving at all. Yeah, that's scary.
It is scary. So speedy recovery to both Drew and Damian. Hopefully we don't lose them.
Is there any so the one benefit to this, and it's kind of crazy, you can never talk about it, it's weird that this feud started at WrestleMania, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically at WrestleMania. So, which is really rare because what feuds start at WrestleMania, and it doesn't happen. And
it's because you had a weird WrestleMania.
We did. And to this, and to this point, it's not and yes, you hope everyone's safe and there's no extended injury time lost, right? But for this feud, a couple weeks off TV for either of them wouldn't do any bad. And if there's anything that either of them have proved, it's and one more than other. Drew McIntyre has proved that no matter what, with one person off TV, he can carry a feud for months on end. So, I mean, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing if it's non-kayfabe, right? Like, but like, I think that regardless, as long as it's not an extended injury to anybody here, like this could keep this going for the next 2-3 months.
Oh, absolutely. I can agree. And I think it could be, but like you said, Nick, I just hope it's not a very extended, like, oh, they actually got hurt. So they're going to need some time off more than a couple weeks, but hopefully we'll see either on Raw or SmackDown. And, during the week, we'll keep them updated. But now let's go from this scary spot to okay. Again, the internet is a very weird place. I personally am happy about this man being on my screen. So, really quickly, towards the tail end of this Fatal 4-Way, of course, first we get the weekday, Temu Weekend, Solo Sikoa, whatever you want to call him now these days, come in to kind of help out Jacob because, it seems that Solo wanted to keep the championship in the bloodline because he thought that Jacob wasn't going to hold it. Then all of a sudden, somebody in the audience begins to attack and jump over the barricade. Of course, as somebody who watches too much wrestling, just from the frame alone, I was like, I know who this cannonball is. And then, of course, we get the close-up of the shot. But this is Jeff Cobb has finally made his appearance. Jeffrey, I am happy to see you. For those of you who are not aware, Jeff Cobb's most recent place of work was at New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course, in Japan, where I don't know WWE if it is or was, I will still consider is part of United Empire, which is Will Ospreay's faction in New Japan. This man can go. And also for those of us who watch Lucha Underground, this is also Matanza Cuerto as well, which makes me super excited for that. Jeff is a beast. He is, of course, Samoan, but he is very agile and he's very quick. Don't let the cannonball size frame fool you. But I am happy that he is here. And I'm glad that it took the crowd a little bit, but I'm glad that when they recognized and showed his face, everybody got a pop for it. I was like, thank you. I'm excited to see where he goes. That is all.
I'm not against it at all. I looked at some clips of him. I had to remember him for a second because I don't watch wrestling like you do, and I need to. I guess I should be better. I'm happy he's there. I'm happy he's getting work. I'm not sad he's in the bloodline. I'm a little like, where are we going now with this bloodline? Because there's but okay, is Samoa Joe going to be in the bloodline someday? Like, is it just anybody who's kind of sort of loosely has, I don't know.
Right. Are we going like Samoan from Samoa, or are we doing full Polynesian to make it bigger? Because I believe Jeff Cobb's actually Hawaiian.
Sure. That's the thing. Now we're into, the Southern Pacific bloodline. Like, it's just, I'm not against it.
Like Bloodline East versus Bloodline West now, or?
Sure. If there's going to be one unification bloodline thing where it's just 20 folks.
A bloodline title. It's that Rock's bloodline title.
I don't hate that, but do something cool with it.
We'll give it to Travis Scott. So,
Travis
Professor,
Scott.
to kind of jump on what you're saying there, I'm not super familiar. JVL kind of took me through what his work, and I've seen some of his things. Very impressive worker, but I'm at the same point I was when I think the last time I was on a review, and we're talking, or no, it wasn't even on a review. It was in our big group message about how they're letting people go and then bringing other people in. It's like you've got too much on the roster that you don't know what to do with. So let's bring somebody else in who we don't know what we're going to do with. Why we're setting ourselves up for failure here.
It's hard not to think that way, right? Where you look at who was just let go and then someone gets brought on. It's like, that's tough.
Yeah. Nick, I know you have thoughts on this. So what's your take on Jeff Cobb being here?
I actually I'm really curious to hear you because I know you're the expert on CMLL and New Japan, so I know you'll know much more about this than me. To me. I'm super pumped about this because like the little bit that I watch of Lucha Underground is like the first and second season, so like the whole Matanza Cuerto thing, I loved that whole bit, and that's what I thought he was going to be, because there was all these rumors of that WWE's buying Lucha Underground. Now they bought AAA, right? Like. So there was rumors that they were going to bring back Lucha Underground to some extent, maybe on the network or whatever, Peacock, whatever. So I thought he was going to be brought in for that at the very least. Like NXT, I thought the ceiling for Jeff Cobb, to be honest, was he's going to come in and they're going to place him mid to upper card of NXT and let him develop a name there. Just like kind of like lesser version of like Ethan Page in terms of like external appeal of how much you know him. And that's what they all right, we'll wait and see how much he develops. And this to me it makes sense. It makes perfect sense, but like kind of shocking because there's two things that a lot of factors that come into this. Like, first off, Solo needs a new enforcer because of the fact that this whole storyline is going to the fact that Jacob's going to be a babyface. So you need him to run through the whole new bloodline, whatever you call them. And Gio, Tama, and Tonga, they're coming back. So until SummerSlam, that's going to be the faction that Jacob has to run through. So you need an enforcer. What's surprising to me is that you're bringing in and he's great. I love what we're going to see with Top. But like, it's weird that who's related to all these Samoans is not included in any of this. I think he's just not developing to the level of what they think. So it is what it is. Like, they moved in a different direction. To me, he's the best comparison I can say is he's a more athletic, taller version of Taz. And that's what they're getting with the bloodline. And I'm super excited for that because there's some level, like, there's things that a 7-footer can't do that a 5'10" person, 6-foot person can do. And that's what Jeff Cobb's going to bring to this whole feud as an enforcer, just like Jacob Fatu just brought. And it's going to be more athletic and probably better matches overall. So I can't argue with it. I can't disagree with it. It's just a little bit shocking because of the fact that, like, again, Hikuleo is related to all these guys. So, like, maybe you're not as polished as we all thought you were, or, you know, maybe nepotism or whatever you want to call it doesn't exist as much as we thought it did.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to maybe a year or two ago when we were at peak Bloodline. Oh God, what are we doing? When we had a list of like, who's it gonna be? Who's gonna show up in the Bloodline? And I think of the 8 people we called on here at BC WrestlePod, none of them have come over. All done other things where we had a few other folks, and there's like no one that we thought has joined, and now we have him. He sounds amazing though.
The 3 most over, Mikey, you have to chime in here. Like, I need to know this because you're like Mr. Mr. International. You're like the guy. I like between the 3, like offhand, and like who else is in that? Like, it's so shocking that this is the person that they take.
So the funny thing is that because Jeff Cobb is here, of course, Jeff has always wanted to be in WWE, but, you know, he's been international, he's been independent, you know, all that good stuff. And honestly, I think it was because when the reports came out that his New Japan contract was, okay, how do I put this? I don't want to say because I feel like people didn't get upset as much as they did at Stephanie, but the fact that Jeff and his United Empire stablemate Callum Newman won the tag team championships and then not even a week later vacated them because Jeff announced that he was leaving and New Japan let him go from his contract means to tell me that somebody from the Fed here already had, you know, was searching around and be like, hey, Jeff, you want to come to WWE? Which I'm not mad at. Could be a whole different podcast, but I feel like there's a double standard because, you know, people were less mad at Jeff for doing this than they were at Stephanie. I don't want to say it's because she's a woman, but because she is a Chilean woman. But again, that is a whole nother podcast.
But Mikey, was it, again, and I'm going to sound stupid, was it because she had all the belts? Didn't she have all the belts, though, like at the time, or she was about to win a belt?
She had 2, and I think she had 2 belts, and then she vacated them for it. So the match she was supposed to have at Fantastica Mania USA between her and Willow became a triple threat between her, Willow, and CMLL Amazon Juvia. So that was a triple threat. So, but, you know, go ahead.
No, well, I guess, like, to play devil's advocate, like, could you argue that, like, at least, like, he would be willing to put someone over on his way out? Like, because that's the whole gimmick of the business, right? Like, you're leaving, put someone over on your way out. And, like, Stephanie didn't do that, right? And that's the whole, I feel like, the big issue that she had versus, I don't know what his scenario, but, like,
that's very fair. But I think, again, because I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I also think it didn't help that there was a lot of AEW fans that were also kind of mad at Stephanie because they thought she would go to AEW. But that, not to rehash history, but when we did the Forbidden Door interview, we talked about how much Stephanie and Mercedes didn't click in some parts. And again, I'm not going to be mad at somebody. I will say, however, with Jeff, I think Jeff did a good thing while he didn't, quote unquote, put someone over in the normal sense of like putting someone over, losing a match, because New Japan does things differently. he in his final match, he did endorse Callum Newman, which is important because with Will Ospreay gone at AEW, now Jeff Cobb being there, United Empire and TJP now being a free agent and not being signed with New Japan, we need a new leader for United Empire, at least when we're in Japan. And so Jeff, who's been in the faction probably as long since its inception, put over Callum Newman in the sense of, well, because when he did his final speech after his final match in New Japan, he talked about everything and then put Callum Newman on the pedestal, which is important because then later on, Callum would go on to fight he would fight Goto for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, he lost, but even still. So Callum right now is the de facto leader of United Empire. Now, as regards to here, I'm excited to see what Jeff can do. And whenever we get that match between Jeff and Jacob, I'm looking forward to it the most. That's already history there between the two of them. I'm excited. But yeah, so Nick, I'm glad that you were able to pop in, my friend.
Yeah, Mikey, thanks for having me. I just wanted to come in, chat with
Yeah,
you all.
man. Good seeing you.
Very, very passionate about it.
I keep forgetting I got to call into your show. I'll make that happen. I'm sorry I haven't yet.
Everyone here, you guys are all welcome. We love you. You still bring the second field to the show.
I know. Nick, before you go, why don't you tell folks where we could find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour Fridays at 6 Eastern. Yeah, we come on doing WWE, AEW, randomly some TNA stuff. Not as much as you guys do here, but love having you all and love your opinions. So thanks for having me. We love this partnership and always a pleasure.
We love you too, Nick. Have a good evening, my friend, and I will be seeing you very, very soon, hopefully. All righty.
Nice.
Look, I love our friends that we make. Of course, as Jesse knows, we got to meet Nick last year when we went to WrestleCon, New Jersey. Very great guy. Love him. His wife is also very lovely. She and him go back and forth. It is so much fun to watch live. And also when I guest for 10 minutes, it's also fun to watch them go back and forth. I create the chaos. It's great. But while I move back things around, so we spent a lot of time talking about, this because honestly, this was probably the best part. All right, let's get into the rest of the show because we still got 4 matches to talk about, each in varying degree of quality. I didn't hate this that much, but I do agree with Jesse with what you said and Professor, what you said. This was great, but I felt like this was more main event of Raw than a pay-per-view, if that makes sense. Also, Lyra, I hope we did not break a nose. We don't need people getting seriously hurt right now.
Go ahead.
I hope Lyra's okay. I wanted it to be better than it was. Being the only women's match on the card, which frustrated me, it should have been better. It felt like they never got going, and then by the time they finally got some chemistry together and started to gel, it was time to go home.
And Becky's notorious for calling stuff on the fly, right? And she was sort of doing that I'm going to direct and dictate thing going, and it was working okay, but there were a few spots that just took a little too long to develop or got rushed all of a sudden. And I'm not faulting them, they're professionals. It was Becky's first match and what was it? Over 16, 15 months, some long time. Her first one-on-one, right? Wasn't there some? I'd have to pull it up and see.
It's the last match that she had was against, I believe it was Zoe Stark in a falls count. It was either Zoe or Trish in a falls count anywhere match on a Raw.
So it wasn't bad at all. And they do work well together. I'm just wondering, there was some miscommunication and certain things that didn't land. And I'm trying to pull it up now. There was 1 or 2 moments where they just missed them. They missed the move. Becky calls up to her and is like, no, don't do that. Do this. And then like mid-move, Lyra's changing what she's doing. I do think she broke her nose on that straight right all of a sudden because she was super close and Becky threw it anyway and bam. And then all of a sudden we went go home and then the next 2 moves it was over. So I'm not sure if it was supposed to end that way. So yeah, I'm left with the question mark of what was that. But again, it wasn't bad. But I kind of agree with Jesse. Like if you're the only women's match on the card, which is disturbing because you have so many women back there you could do all this with. It's tough. Tough.
It is. Of course, Lyra ends up retaining her Women's Intercontinental Championship. And because Becky decided to attack her post-match, I already knew. I was like, we're getting a rematch at some point. I was like, this was just to set up what we're going. Now, I'm excited because if this is a feud that carries us to SummerSlam, I'm here for it. But Jesse, thoughts?
I wanted to add something here just because I think everyone here will either groan or think it would be hilarious because I got both those reactions from JBL when we're watching this. You could have really just turned the screw on everybody and had Charlotte come out to make the save and try and force her to be the face here.
Oh my God.
Kilt, hold up. I'm gonna screenshot the space from Kilt real quick. So
I'm not saying I want that, but it would be a hilarious, like, big old fu to the fans.
And it would have been a of course moment for us. Like, of course, that's what we're.
Surprisingly, though, I will say this, and maybe it will happen later. Surprisingly, no Bailey to come out and cross with Becky because, Becky admitted she's the one that attacked Bailey to begin with to take her off the card. So, to take her off the card for Mania, at least. But we shall see what happens if this leads to Bailey versus Becky for that title at some point. Cool. But right now, Lyra is still our women's intercontinental champion. Hopefully, she doesn't have too busted up of a nose. But this is what happens when two Irish girls fight. We love to see it. Love both of them. Internet needs to lay off Becky. She is not Becky Hogan. She is the farthest thing from it. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, that's a weird moniker they threw at her. It makes no sense.
Y'all wanted her back so bad, and then she's only been here for like less than a month, and we're already complaining.
That's wrestling fans, man. I mean, Cody came out and said that the wrestling fans are the best ones at eating their own faces all the time. It's just what they do.
Very true.
The best and worst fan bases are wrestling fans and Star Wars fans. They're what ruined wrestling and Star Wars.
That's the one. Yep. The same video.
Stay tuned for our After Hours podcast where we talk about the toxicity of the Star Wars fandom. I could write a whole essay comparing wrestling fandom and Star Wars fandom. It'd be a crazy read. But I digress.
Speaking of, gentlemen, we need to stay on desk because I got about 20 minutes left.
Okay.
I'm trying to do a pumpkin.
All right. Dominic versus Penta. I like this match. I'm going to do the Pat McAfee thing, though, really quickly, because are we surprised that Dominic retained? No. So I'm not even going to pretend to. But this was the start of where I was like, okay, we're getting shenanigans here because, of course, Judgment Day comes out to try to do things. They don't. El Grande Americano Latte comes out to be the one to cause the problem for Penta to lose this match. But I want to talk about what happened after this match because we get this little screenshot right here, right? So we get Dominic Mysterio in this weird mustache looking straight at the camera. Carlito and Finn are back there. But I'm going to do the Pat McAfee thing where we're going to ignore Dominic and we are going to be looking at this man right here. This face tells me what I need to know for what's about to go down. I am excited, but I'm really hoping by SummerSlam we can finally disband the Judgment Day because we have been playing this story thread for way too long, in my opinion. It needs to happen soon.
They had a chance to do it, like I said, over the weekend when we had Rhea and Priest and this Dom thing all split within 3 weeks, and they just couldn't do it or chose not to. So I agree.
They need to pull that trigger. Oh my God, I'm tired of waiting for them to break up.
Let Carlito play the R-Truth role. Put him anywhere you want. Let Finn do Finn things, and then McDonough can fend for himself.
JD McForehead, as we call him.
JD McForehead technically is not even part of the Judgment Day anymore because he lost R-Truth.
That's true. JD McFivehead.
I thought this match was fun. I didn't hate this. Again, it felt like a Rom. Dom looked good, but he held his own doing a lot of stuff. There's
okay though. This match though had my favorite move of the whole entire night. That plancha into that DDT from Dominic was nuts.
That was actually pretty, yeah. There was some fun stuff in there.
It was great. But yeah, Pat McAfee in it. Finn looking at Dominic with this evil intent. Pull that true. Speaking of McAfee, on paper, I was mad that we were getting this match. I was really mad. By the end of this, didn't hate it. And I hate to say this, I feel like the craziest discourse is people say that Gunther has been buried by this match. I'm like, excuse me. I was just like, this man, I'm like, y'all need to stop. People are mad that Gunther showed Pat McAfee respect. I'm like, no, this is a one-off. I'm okay with that because we know Gunther is going to I am still waiting for when he comes back because I still believe we are holding on to waiting for Gunther and Ilya Dragunov to have this feud that they were teasing before Ilya got hurt. I did not hate this match. I will say, though, Pat, you put in more work. You put in work that most celebrities fail to do sometimes, except if you are Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny to me is my peak right now. Celebrity work to put in for this match. I actually did not mind this match. But again, Michael Cole coming in being like the side character in this whole thing was kind of weird, crazy to watch.
I'll be right back.
Go for it. Boys, any thoughts on this match?
I'll take the cue then, since Professor's going to be right back.
Go for it.
It was better than I expected, and that's my positive. Why are we doing this? We get a finite amount of premium live events per year. Why is this a feud? There are so many other talented people on the roster that we're not doing a thing with. I know people find them annoying on commentary. I'm a huge fan. I really like him because he's like everybody else. He says the stuff you're not supposed to say, and I enjoy that factor. But he doesn't need to be in the ring. He did better than I expected him to, but there's so many other things we could do with Gunther, and there's so many other talented people on the roster who aren't getting any push or any kind of showing for something like this. It's a short card. It's 5 matches, and this was one of them. We could have gone back and had this on Shotgun Saturday night.
Good callback. Love that. But yeah, in the end, to nobody's surprise, Gunther does pick up the victory here.
Would have been better if there was like some kind of schmaz and some kind of, oh, somebody returned and now we're starting a feud with Gunther and we build something off of this. But no, nothing happened. This was like a blip in this weird annal history of WWE that we didn't need.
Yeah.
I only heard the last 2 sentences, but I agree.
Professor, any last thoughts about Gunther and Pat McAfee?
I don't want to jump on Kilt. Did Kilt have anything? Kilt can't hear me?
No. Kilt did give me a great facial expression when I showed this picture.
That was a goddamn moment. Like, God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I watched it intently because that was the match I got, and I was doing my due diligence for this show. I actually enjoyed that really shit out of it. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting Michael Cole to do what he did. Like, be on the side of this Pat at one point, pull freaking the ref at one point. Like, damn, dude.
I'm not done. I still have feelings over this too, frustrated feelings too. What purpose did this serve either? Did this elevate Pat? No. Did this elevate Gunther? No. Did this start a feud? No. What was the point of having this? What was the story behind it? Oh, we're fighting for one's honor. Listen, it's wrestling. We got to get past this. This was the equivalent of the Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman fighting because you called me stupid. Like,
woo, that's right.
What did this help?
Ooh,
this didn't elevate anybody. In fact, it seemed like, well, we don't have anything for Gunther, so let's throw a distraction match out there.
We can get into a whole podcast about this, but it seems that now the Fed here is more concerned about making viral moments and memes than like telling stories that actually count. I'm like, listen, JBL knows this because he owed me a favor and he had to cover a TNA pay-per-view with me. As a TNA fan, I'm used to TNA sometimes having 2 weeks to build up to these pay-per-views, right? However, and this is not because I review it and I love TNA with all my little heart, but statistically, at least the current product of TNA, those 2-week turnarounds end up having better match qualities. This pay-per-view had the same time frame, and we got a varying, spectrum of quality of matches. But again, Jesse, I agree with you. This did not elevate anybody. We did not get a surprise return. Nothing. This summer's going to be weird for WWE because now that Backlash is over, the next thing for them is Money in the Bank. So we shall see what happens with all of that. But now let's get into this because I have thoughts about this. But our main event, which by the way, I know it's a 5-card thing, but WWE, we need to figure out what we're doing because there was like a total combined time of 50 minutes in between matches, including commercials. I will say though, I was happy that I didn't get a Wheatley's vodka commercial because I was so sick of hearing that stupid jingle during.
Well, when you want vodka, you think, yeah, American.
Sure. Anyways, so in our main event, one last time, which is probably going to be the biggest lie told to us this year at some point, we have John Cena defending his undisputed WWE Championship against the hometown hero, the master of the 3 most deadliest letters in professional wrestling, the RKO, and Randall Keith Orton. So on a story level, I think this was probably my favorite story because I love where we're going with this. This is kind of fun. And we're going to talk about something that didn't even happen on the pay-per-view, but happened at the Scrum because it furthers what we're going to probably be seeing at Saturday night's main event coming up here shortly. However, and this is just a personal nitpick, we just escaped the Roman Reigns cinematic universe of, crazy shenanigans going on. And John Cena in his limited time release window of his, epic final movie career performance, whatever you want to call it, he inherited the shenanigans that was the Roman Reigns cinematic universe. And I'm like, okay, all right, we're gonna just have to suck it up until he retires. All right, it's fine because we got ref bums, we got R-Truth coming in. We have security guards. Nick Aldis gets RKO'd at one point. Like, this was a whole entire craziness. I'm going to be honest, though. R-Truth coming in was probably a great part for me.
So that was a highlight. And I have to say, out of all the production team who got RKO'd, the Hurricane still took it the best.
We loved it. But yeah, I figured craziness was going to go down. Do I feel like it was too much craziness? No, because I survived the Roman Reigns 3-year era of craziness. So I feel like that warrants a badge of honor. While it progressed the story-wise, and I think Cena is doing it on purpose if he's smart enough to do this for his character, it was just okay. Like, in-ring-wise, this was okay. But the storyline of it was pretty good. I felt like, and for those of you video game nerds, I'm about to probably commit, video game purge over here. But this felt like I was watching a Death Stranding or any HEMA video game cutscene, where it was action, but it was just very long 20-minute exposition storyline cutscene. Metal Gear Revengeance, this was not.
Yeah, this was not PT. For those of you that want to get a real deep
about that, but I digress. But that's a whole nother show.
I got bored. I gotta be completely honest. After watching everything that we've watched and after the build up of the story, I bought it. I said it before when we had our preview and we had to make our picks. I was like, I'm interested. Okay. Show me something. John Cena came. It feels like John Cena has sort of come in cold since he got back, and his matches are really slow, not the pace that we know he can work at. I know he's older. I know he's having a hard time moving. He's talked about it. Okay, whatever. Randy did all the work here, and Cena sells beautifully, but there was just they never had a good momentum, and I think they leaned too much on the nostalgia of look at us 20 years, here we are thing. And some of these spots are just straightforward, pro wrestling spots, headlocks into clotheslines, into this, into they both fell.
There was a lot of rest holds.
Yeah, like and the crowd's eating it up because we're seeing two idols there. If I didn't know who these two were doing, you're not trying to show me anything. The ending and how all that transpired really caught my attention. I loved seeing all that madness. I love seeing the voices kick back in. Storytelling wise, I guess it does give us some place to go, especially what happens after, because we're setting up what happens after at I almost said postmortem. That's not what I meant to say. Happens after the press conference, excuse me. I think John's loving being a heel, so he's acting the hell out of that. I think as far as a wrestling match, and am I interested? I checked out, which is a shame to say.
Yeah. Is it sad to say I'm more excited about what possibly is coming up than this match?
I'm watching the replay right now. It's just super slow. It's
a lot of rest holds. First 15 minutes are just like pure rest holds.
And it's like 3 or 4 seconds to get to a clothesline. Boom. 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Like you're just taking all your time in the world. So I don't know if it's a cardio thing or what. Randy's fired up. He's in St. Louis. He's ready to go. John Cena's just sort of meandering through the first half of this.
What's kind of funny is I did like for the nostalgia pop all the old promos that they were showing in the old footage.
The indie promo was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny if you look at that in the juxtaposition of them today, it looks like they've switched body morphology because Cena shrunk and Randy grew. I mean, I enjoyed the match. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. R-Truth coming out was fantastic. I'm such an R-Truth fan. What I thought would have been funny is if at the very end they did a callback to, I forget what match it was, but they had a title match and Randy, as soon as the bell rings, slapped the ref to get the DQ to hold the title. Really hoping that since they had the two refs out there at the very end of the match, that's how Cena ended it. That would have been funny. Like that would have been fan service. But, we got the ending we knew we were going to get.
Right. So, match itself, it was fine. Cena does retain his undisputed WWE championship. But what I want to talk about is, and I really hope this is true, that this Cena will be at Saturday night's main event at the end of this month. No watch along because I will be out Memorial Day weekend, as I always am. I will be chaperoning children at a college campus. So this is going to be interesting. And of course, while I'm also there, I will still have to do my due diligence because there are 3 pay-per-views that weekend. Oh, God. Anyways, this is the final thing we're going to talk about before we sign off for the evening and go into the ending spiel is at the press conference, the scrum after Backlash. This is the important thing. Of course, the other thing I want to talk about that I couldn't get a screenshot for was Jacob Fatu talking to, the press, talking about that he's still trying to figure out why Jeff Cobb is here, and they gonna be working on that. So we're getting the seeds planted that Jacob was not clued in, which is going to lead into this feud between him and Solo and Cobb being the enforcer. But the important thing is Cena is up at the scrum. R-Truth interrupts and tells him that, he still believes in him. And even though the crowd's and he still believes in him, even though the crowd continues to tell him that he can't wrestle. Cena tells Truth that, he crossed the line.
No.
Give me the...
Ron, be careful.
Yes. And was Ron careful, Kilt? No.
He got straight through that table. I didn't know we were going to get a table broken after the show ended. That made I should have watched it live. I had to catch it on TikTok. This sets it up so well for R-Truth to have a slight heel turn and that be a match at either SummerSlam or something. Give me R-Truth and Cena where R-Truth takes the title.
Maybe, or R-Truth is going to do I know that wasn't the real John. That didn't happen to me. That was a new, and he does a whole stick on trying to save John Cena's soul.
I mean, I said that 4 or 5 weeks ago that R-Truth should be the one to dethrone John Cena.
You're right.
I mean, R-Truth's not held a World Heavyweight Champion in WWE, and he should. I think what is he, the winningest NWA World Heavyweight Champion?
Yeah.
Let's give the man some due. He certainly earned it. But I think my favorite part of the press conference scrum was that he made Cena break, because he breaks everybody. He made Cena break character too.
Man, these you know what's funny? These scrums for these summer piece end up being some of the better ones, because also it was a summer PL. No, it was a fall PLE. I lied. But these scrubs can give us iconic moments. This is where the Yeet movement was born. And of course, the sentence that was said by Cody, be like, me and Jay had a little bit of libations before getting here. Made me laugh because I'm like, libations is a $5 word that most people don't even say anymore. And I loved it. Yes, I'm excited to see where we go with this, because we are either going to say, we are either going to get save poor John Cena's soul, R-Truth, or we are going to get Ron Killings coming after Cena next, which makes me super excited. But that brings us to the end of our Backlash review, boys. This was a very interesting pay-per-view, and I'm being nice about it. There was I feel like there was some highlights and some lowlights, and there wasn't a lot of middle ground. I think the best thing that I've come to the conclusion with our thoughts and all of us talking about this is that outside of maybe the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way, which opened the show, by the way, everything else was good enough, but it felt like it belonged more on an episode of Monday Night Raw than it did an actual pay-per-view.
If you gave this an hour worth of soap opera promos, it was smack.
That is very true as well.
That's what we're wanting. That's what it could have been.
Yeah, so I mean, this was okay. This isn't the worst pay-per-view for WWE so far this year, at least not in my eyes. But now, between now and their next pay-per-view, outside of progressing some of the stories, we know that most of the matches, however the brands decide, are going to be for Money in the Bank qualifiers, because Money in the Bank is in 3 weeks, which is crazy to say.
Really?
Yeah, so because next week's Memorial Day weekend. The only reason I know this is that this week is a regular week. Next weekend, the following weekend over Memorial Day weekend is Saturday night's main event, because we also learned that Mr. Jey Uso will be defending his title against Logan Paul at Saturday night's main event over Memorial Day weekend. But also the following day on Sunday is NXT's Battleground. And then the following week after that, after Memorial Day weekend has subsided. No, I lied. Not 3 weeks. No, it is 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks. Oh my God. 3 weeks is Money.
Yeah, now we got to build up where we're going in 3 weeks. How are we going to make this happen?
And then SummerSlam is the first weekend of August.
Yeah, because WWE summer schedule, you have Money in the Bank at the beginning of June, at the end of June, which, by the way, announcing this now so nobody's confused when we don't see it, we will not be covering a live review or doing any type of watch along for Night of Champions, because I still hold to the fact we do not review the Saudi shows, which sucks because we're not going to review the Rumble next year, but that's a choice that WWE made, and I stand by my decision.
Hey, we get a night off finally.
That is true. Will I probably watch the event? I don't know. I probably will, because I have to do the report card anyways. But yeah, we will not be doing a review for Night of Champions at the end of June. Then in July, it gets a little dicey, because we have another Saturday night's main event. We also are reportedly, supposedly getting Evolution 2, which of course WWE wants to be petty as all hell. Because
is it confirmed yet?
There hasn't been an official announcement, but at this point, I'm like 80% sure it's going to be July 12th. And of course, it's going to be July 12th because WWE is going to be competing with All In Texas from AEW at the same night. I'm like, which one of the two am I going to watch? I don't know. I'll probably end up watching both. Who am I kidding? And then we get like 3 weeks and then we're at SummerSlam. So WWE has a very packed summer that they're going to need to kind of figure out how they're going to navigate. Because I'm already having a little bit of trepidation going into the summer for WWE because now it's all roads lead to SummerSlam. But that's going to be it for us here at Wrestle Watch. I'd like to thank everybody for being here before we sign off for the evening. So some people can go to sleep. I have to do the boss thing and give you all this information. So this is what we got going on for the remainder of the week. Literally in an hour, I will be back with Adolfo to cover New Japan Resurgence. We are covering our next New Japan show that I got to attend to live. And also me and Mama Laguillo got free upgraded tickets where we were literally in front of the ring barricade, which was wild which was a wild experience. So I can't wait for that. Then tomorrow night, the AEW crew will be here to cover Dynamite and Collision as we prepare for this week, which is not spring break-in. This is Beach Break, AEW, and Collision this week. So we are going to cover
break-in. If I don't have rehearsal, I'll be there.
So yeah, so Beach Break for AEW, spring break-in is NXT, sorry. But AEW review tomorrow night. Then on Wednesday, you get a double dose of NXT and CMLL, which is going to be fun time as well. On Thursday, we are heading back up north where myself and Will be covering Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's Northern Rising. So the flannel fighters will be in full effect that evening. I cannot wait for that. Then on Friday, the Takedown Troop is here to review another episode of TNA. And all things conclude this week on Sunday with our Dual Dynasty review as we will review the Raw and the Smack post Backlash to see what's up with all of that. But we're going to get up on out of here. So from all of us here at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later, but until then...
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.